Almost a year has passed since the crypto trial of the century began, and the trial is still going, but not as strong for the SEC. During this period, both the San Francisco-based payment company Ripple and the United States Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, have had a number of ups and downs in the whole process. However, here we are, and the case is still a work in progress. But first, we are giving away 50 XRP coins at the end of the month to one random subscriber to start on their XRP journey. All you need to do is to like the video, subscribe, and comment your thoughts on XRP in the comment section. Welcome, XRP Army. Let's grow the XRP Lab community by pressing the like button and subscribing to this channel to stay updated at all times. As a result of the SEC current predicament, the regulatory body will be compelled to reach a settlement rather than continue with its deceptive practices. It is unclear how many more times this regulating organization will fool the general public before being exposed. In other cases, they've gone so far as to intentionally mislead the court by falsifying documents and even committing perjury in the process. This is the worst case scenario that has happened so far. The Securities and Exchange Commission seems to be in a vulnerable situation, with every evidence pointing to a settlement being reached. But do you think the SEC will agree to the settlement agreement? Well, the settlement meeting is brewing and seems to likely happen sooner than expected, but are there any reasons that back this up? Using his expertise, Stefan uncovers a critical piece of evidence that demonstrates the SEC is deceiving the public in plain sight. As one piece of evidence in support of their claim, they quote William Hinman's assertion as one of their sources. However, last month the SEC issued an advisory that Edmund's words should not be construed as representing the SEC official position. But you see, Hinman used the pronoun we in regard to the organization, which makes it one of the most offensive elements, but we'll overlook it for the time being. Since Hinman's personal beliefs are just personal thoughts, why would the SEC come in later and use them to defend their primary case, if they are just personal opinions? I'm confident that you can discern what is taking place right now. When a case does not go in their favor, it is possible that they will acquire an opinion about it. However, if such statements are beneficial to them, the SEC thoughts will move to the top of the heap of consideration. It's no surprise that they're so simple to catch when they're lying, no matter how much the regulating body tries to cover up their actions and conceal their tracks. Eventually, the truth will always find its way to the surface. Nonetheless, as I had stated earlier, I'm going to let that one go. There's more to it than that, though. How about we take a look at some of the reasons why it's expected that the SEC and Ripple will reach a deal on a settlement. Following the conflict, there will be a period of exploration. Neither the SEC nor Ripple are under any obligation to participate in a settlement conference. But it feels that everything that has transpired thus far has served as a prologue to this meeting. The Securities and Exchange Commission most likely did not want to be a part of the final decision. Another issue is that they were unprepared for what was taking place, and it is likely that they were informed that a settlement was the only choice, but no one seemed to grasp the significance of this. Until now. Taking this into consideration, if we do the math right, the settlement meeting will take place in January of next year. It feels that each party has been working carefully to develop a compelling case for their position at the negotiation table in order to be heard clearly at the table. Based on the facts that are very evident, Ripple appeared to have perfect command of the situation. Take a look at the SEC recent losses for some perspective. It is past time for the SEC to call it quits once and for all. So, what are your thoughts on the matter? It remains to be seen how long the SEC will battle it out and accept a settlement with Ripple, or whether they will continue to fight and risk further losses. To be more specific, the whole cryptocurrency community is now perplexed as to who the SEC is aiming to protect and why. The Securities and Exchange Commission was established to protect investors at the outset of this, but it appears that this is no longer the case. Regulators have already set their sights on destroying Ripple, but there have been other recommendations as well. From what many can understand, the SEC isn't doing anything to address the situation. The only reason Ripple's argument is so heated is because of its similarities to Ethereum. The SEC, however, clarifies that it never provided a break to Ethereum and Bitcoin in the first place. But as a result of their attempts to evade the repercussions of their judgment, the regulatory body has come off as rather dubious. Therefore, begging the question, which regulatory organization do you believe is the most effective at safeguarding investors? But the big question is whether or not they will start to protect XRP investors from more harm or if they will continue to harm them. Let's take a deeper look at the technical indicators that are now in play on the market. Despite the XRP lawsuit, it is unlikely that it will have a big influence on the cryptocurrency market. In countries other than the United States, XRP still has a high chance of surviving. The monetary value of this coin is so high that it might never be permitted to leave the United States. With the usage of XRP, it is possible to transfer significant amounts of money in a matter of seconds at the lowest possible cost. Everything indicates that there will be an increase in the near future. But it's too late to turn back the clock for SEC. It might be difficult for certain agency heads to reject legislation that is difficult to understand. They frequently misread their authority to regulate, and Congress joins in on the misunderstanding much too frequently. The courts have always functioned as a safety net if the aggrieved do not have the resources to fight back against the enormous administrative state. And as one would expect, in this well-known story, the SEC lawsuit against cryptocurrency innovator Ripple is currently being played out, but the buck stops with the majority of its hearings exposes the SEC unfounded and flawed arguments, as well as some inconvenient truths for former SEC Chairman Jay Clayton and former SEC Corporation Finance Division head William Hinman, among others. The case against the San Francisco Financial Services Company was founded on erroneous assumptions, which have been consistently shown during a number of proceedings. According to a statement issued by the Securities and Exchange Commission on the penultimate day of Clayton's tenure, they claimed that it has been unregistered as security since 2013. According to the SEC previous findings, the SEC currently still considers every Ripple sale over the previous 7 years to be an illegal securities transaction. But the fact that Ripple, its 2 senior executives named in the lawsuit, and millions of retail holders should have known this from the beginning, even if the regulatory agency did not, should have been obvious. The SEC took this case too personal. Clayton's exit from the corporation was hastened by the absence of due process and reasonable notice provided to him. Despite the fact that regulators have made a lot of contradictory comments concerning Bitcoin over the years, numerous hearings have drawn attention to this fact. Clayton stated on CNBC in 2018 that Bitcoin is not a security, and Hinman gave a well-publicized lecture in which he demonstrated how Ether was not a security, despite the fact that it was launched in an initial coin offering, ICO, in 2014. Their statement indicated that the current situation of XRP was uncertain. Before listing XRP on exchanges, exchanges inquired with the SEC about whether the cryptocurrency constituted security, but the SEC declined to provide an answer. In a 2020 interview, then chairman of the Commodity Futures Trading Commission Heath Tarbert stated that, "It's uncertain, but one thing is for sure, that XRP is a cryptocurrency." He went ahead to add that they are working together with the SEC, trying to categorize everything. But they should accept that the 1933 Securities Act has nothing to do with Bitcoin and then ought to have asked Congress to interpret the statute. SEC issued an unsubstantiated conclusion with no prior notice or procedure. This particular example appears to show that former SEC officials prioritized personal wealth over the welfare of their nation. When the SEC states in papers and hearings that the SEC is not on trial here, the reverse is almost certainly true. Hence giving the likelihood of a settlement more thought. And that's all for today's video. Thanks for watching. Did you like the video? Comment below, let's engage. If you want to continue to know about XRP, we have got 2 more videos waiting for you on the end screen to check out. Make sure to subscribe and give us a thumbs up. Also, leave us a comment in the comment section to let us know about what you feel will be the future of this cryptocurrency. Thank you so much for watching, see you in the next video. Before heading forward, kindly note that prices of cryptocurrencies frequently change, so by the time you watch this video, it might have changed to a whole new value. The information provided in this video does not constitute investment advice, financial advice, trading advice, or any other sort of advice, and you should not treat any of the content as such. The content in this video is for educational purposes only and hence should not be considered as financial advice. Do conduct your own due diligence and consult your financial advisor before making any investment decisions.